Vivek Ramaswamy reveals a perceived covert political strategy. He argues that influential figures are orchestrating a narrative to position Nikki Haley as a controlled alternative to Donald Trump. Ramaswamy suggests a deliberate effort to create a two-horse race, sidelining Trump and promoting Haley as a more manageable option. Don't miss. What is the concept of a deep fake in the political context? How does the strategy involve positioning Nikki Haley within the Republican Party? Who are the key individuals supporting the effort to keep Trump away from the White House?
Yeah, DeSantis was petrified that Christie would do something.
Right.
We don't know what he was going to do.
DeSantis was petrified that Christie would do something right. We don't know what he was going to do. The uncertainty surrounding Chris Christie's potential actions may evoke unease, reflecting broader concerns about unpredictable political changes, instability in political spheres, and the discomfort felt by individuals facing uncertain outcome.
That's according to Chris Christie. I'm curious as to why they were in conversation
At all. Yeah.
and why DeSantis would express to him his fear over something Christie might do.
I haven't talked to either today. I can tell you that. And so I'll tell you something. I think that there's something deeper going on, and this is today a footnote. It's a footnote, but a footnote in the deeper game that's hiding in plain sight. I think, Ian, you said, oh, is this all just one giant deep fake? I actually think it is.
Yeah.
Actually, I think we're witnessing a deep fake in real time.
I actually think we're witnessing a deep fake in real time. In contemporary politics, the term deep fake is often associated with organized deception and political manipulation. This reference highlights a broader concern regarding the truth and authenticity crisis prevalent in today's political landscape.
The deep fake is this. And the people who are the subjects to it, I think every one of the people who is a subject to it, for better or worse, is falling for the deep fake, which is that this system, the system, has made a decision, the same one that they thought they were making back when Donald Trump was exiting office. Okay, they didn't get it right that time around. To make a decision that this man shall not be allowed anywhere near the White House again, period. They will stop at nothing.
This man shall not be allowed anywhere near the White House again, period. They will stop at nothing. In considering the decision to sideline a particular individual from political influence, an analysis emerges by investigating perceived threats, the time spent mitigating potential consequences, the intensity of political discord, and the combination of apprehension and ambition to establish control in turbulent political times.
And at this point, I really mean nothing to keep this man out of the White House. So what are they trying to do? I was trying to figure out for a long time. It didn't feel like it was going to be a Trump versus Biden race. There's a lot with Biden. You got the documents case coming out. Why are they trotting that against Biden after like 10 years? Hunter Biden, okay, we could have talked about it. Now suddenly it's gaining credibility. Didn't feel like it was going to be Biden. And so I think incorrectly assumed that it was going to be Gavin Newsom or somebody else. This is the new puppet other than Biden they want to trot out. And I think what became increasingly clear is that they've actually found a much more convenient new puppet. A puppet who actually can give them a lot of air cover by being within the Republican Party or the guise of the Republican Party itself, and that's Nikki Haley.
They've actually found a much more convenient new puppet. That's Nikki Haley. The labeling of Nikki Haley as a convenient new puppet prompts investigations into strategic choices in politics. It raises questions about internal Republican tactics, personal identity, and authenticity in political roles.
Of course. The very people who are paying to keep Trump off the ballot in lawsuits, like Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn, or even Larry Fink, the king of the woke industrial complex, the leader of BlackRock. Look at who they're supporting. It's not Gavin Newsom. It's not Joe Biden. It's Nikki Haley, actually. And so what they want to do, to put it in plain sight, is to make this a two-horse race between Donald Trump and a puppet who they can control.
Make this a two-horse race between Donald Trump and a puppet who they can control. In the analysis of a political situation, the contrast between Donald Trump and a manipulated puppet unveils intriguing insights into power dynamics, the influence of individual agency on strategic narratives, criticism of perceived political manipulation, and the overall panorama of political discourse.
I believe that's Nikki Haley. Eliminate Trump from contention, and then trot in their controllable puppet into the White House. That's the game that's hiding in plain sight, and I think everybody's fallen for it, actually.
Exposes a intricate political maneuver where Nikki Haley is depicted as a convenient pawn manipulated by influential figures. The narrative suggests a purposeful move to push Trump aside from the political stage and substitute him with a more controllable candidate. This prompts inquiries into the genuineness of political decisions and the impact of undisclosed forces on shaping electoral dynamics. Positioned as a strategic game manipulating political events, shaping narratives, and influencing election outcomes, hidden forces aim to control politicians and steer the political landscape. Amidst an individual's struggle to unearth meaning and truth, in a political terrain saturated with doubt and distrust, anxiety looms, fueled by suspicions and potential manipulations regarding the authenticity of political events and the motives of key figures. The notion of a controllable puppet, manipulated by both individual freedom and external forces, exists, constricting choices within the political system and breeding feelings of helplessness and frustration. Real-time references to deep fake should be approached with consideration for truth, reality, and the pursuit of genuine experiences. Delving into the complex political landscape where truth proves elusive, individuals grapple with anxiety and seek a deeper understanding. Chris Christie, in particular, might contemplate expressing his apprehensions concerning an unspecified number of individuals, exploring the dimensions of fear and uncertainty in the face of political conspiracies, and reflecting on the significance of manipulating political events and candidates. Taking decisive action proves pivotal in the political process to uphold trust and integrity.
What do you think?
Vivek Ramaswamy underscores the significance of leaders prioritizing decisions rooted in morality over succumbing to the fear of public perception. According to him, the tendency to make choices based on how they might be perceived can impede leaders from making ethically sound decisions. Don't miss. How does Vivek Ramaswamy suggest handling immigration with a focus on humanity and respect for the rule of law? What alternative solution is proposed in the discussion regarding the challenges of mass deportations? How does the conversation address the philosophical aspect of decision-making for leaders in the context of immigration?
How can we roll this back? How can we go back from hundreds of thousands of people coming into this country in such a weaponized way?
Millions of people.
Well, you can draft them into the military. I mean,
Send them to Ukraine. Huh?
because the idea of mass deportations is like a storybook Nazi Germany visage. Like I can see the images of like newly deputized ICE agents, like a 19-year-old cop going and like grabbing some woman and pulling her out of her house and her screaming as the baby's lying on the ground. Like the world will not tolerate it, even our own country. As much as I'm not saying that deportations are off the table, but that's the imagery that would be swung with something like that.
The
So what do you do?
propaganda
Send
that
them
we
to
use.
send them into the army? Go let them earn their citizenship by fighting in the Ukraine? I don't know what the plan is.
The only thing I would say about that is, one is I do favor in substance doing this as humanely and respectfully as possible in substance, largely because for many of these people, it's not necessarily their fault, right?
For many of these people, it's not necessarily their fault, right? In the pursuit of participation, individuals may be swayed by external factors, such as the influence of the U.S. president or the overarching impact of the motivating organization. Recognizing these influences is essential, as external circumstances play a significant role in shaping their decisions.
If you're sitting in Honduras or wherever, and you got a U.S. president, an entire apparatus that's giving you a wink and a nod to come on over, who knows? Maybe if many of us were in their shoes, we would have done the same thing, especially we're parents of children who want better lives for our children.
Maybe if many of us were in their shoes, we would have done the same thing, especially as parents of children who want better lives for our children. Understanding the drive behind people's desire to improve their families' lives requires empathy. This empathy recognizes the common longing for betterment and understands the similar choices made by parents facing similar circumstances.
So I just think it's the right thing to do for this country because we're a nation founded on the rule of law. That's not something that's necessarily hostile to most of those millions are not otherwise innately bad people, but these are people, regardless of whether they're good people or bad people.
Most of those millions are not otherwise innately bad people, but these are people regardless of whether they're good people or bad people. In questioning the belief that most newcomers inherently carry undesirable traits, it is crucial to take a nuanced approach. This entails separating an individual's moral character from the broader conversation surrounding immigration.
We're a nation founded on the rule of law. So I can't, with my level of sort of moral clarity on this, I can't be a father of two sons in the White House, tell them they have to follow the rules when I'm leading a U.S. government that actively isn't following its own rules. And so I think as respectfully and humanely as possible, we have to return them to their country of origin.
As respectfully and humanely as possible, we have to return them to their country of origin. Immigration issues require a nuanced and compassionate approach. Balancing the importance of following the law with a humane view on deportation is essential. It's crucial to find a middle ground that respects the rule of law while showing empathy.
But Ian, there's a philosophical point here too, which is I think once we fall into the trap as leaders of trying to make decisions based on how we fear they will be portrayed, then we're done making the right decisions and we're just down the road of actually dancing to what we think we're going to be portrayed as. And it becomes circular. Whereas I think the job of a good leader is to do what is right, and when the public does not agree with you, to persuade them of the fact that that was still the right thing to do.
The job of a good leader is to do what is right, and when the public does not agree with you, to persuade them of the fact that that was still the right thing to do. In team leadership, ethical decision-making takes precedence over conforming to public opinion. The key is to convince the public of the decision's ethical foundation rather than being swayed by popular sentiment.
I do.
In discussing leadership challenges, Ramaswamy underscores the difficulty leaders face when making decisions aligned with morality and the rule of law, despite potential initial opposition from the public. He urges leaders to uphold moral clarity, cautioning against decisions driven by fear of public perception, as this can lead to a compromising cycle. This brings forward crucial considerations about leadership, moral responsibility, and the delicate equilibrium between public opinion and principled decision-making. The significance of the rule of law, ethical considerations for individuals, and even those who enter the country without authorization underscores the value of upholding legal principles while navigating the intricacies of immigration matters. The dedication to making decisions rooted in perceived moral correctness rather than succumbing to the anticipation of public reactions poses a challenge for leaders who balance personal beliefs and potential opposition. Maintaining integrity in leadership is crucial, even when it means refraining from decisions influenced solely by public perception rather than one's moral compass. Recognizing the complexities of immigration issues and the ethical quandaries surrounding mass deportation prompts the quest for humane and respectful solutions, taking into account the circumstances of individuals seeking a better life for their families. A commendable leader cherishes the responsibility of persuading the public that their decisions are righteous, even in disagreement, effectively communicating and convincing others while staying true to their beliefs. Acknowledging individual responsibility amid situations beyond one's control is a key aspect of leadership.
What do you think?
In the wake of the Perry High School shooting tragedy, Vivek Ramaswamy addresses a concerned citizen's query on school safety. He proposes the adoption of enhanced security measures, emphasizing the need for a minimum of 3 armed security guards in every school nationwide. Don't miss. Should armed staff members be mandated in public and private schools? How did Vivek Ramaswamy view the national response to the Perry High School shooting? What alternative funding solution does Ramaswamy propose for implementing armed security in schools?
On January 4th, a deranged individual named Dylan Butler went to the Perry High School. He killed 11-year-old Amir. He wounded 7 others, including 4 students, 3 staffers, before killing himself. I'm genuinely terrified. Can we mandate the presence of armed staff members in public and private schools? Schools contain America's most valuable resources and should not be soft targets. There are many teachers, janitors, counselors, and school administrators that would be more than willing to receive training and obtain a conceal and carry permit to protect our children. I want at least 1 armed staff member in the building before the school's doors open in the morning.
I mean, it's really a tragedy what happened here in Perry, Iowa.
It's really a tragedy what happened here in Perry, Iowa. In Perry, Iowa, the community is acknowledged with sincere compassion, emphasizing the gravity of recent events. This message conveys deep sympathy and a united sense of sorrow for the people of Perry.
I think the worst tragedy of all was the fact that the reaction to it was, just certainly from a national perspective, was almost numb, actually.
The worst tragedy of all was the fact that the reaction to it was, just certainly from a national perspective, it was almost numb, actually. In discussions surrounding a tragedy, there is a prevailing sense of disillusionment. People express dissatisfaction with the lack of public interest and emotional connection to the event, raising broader concerns about the overall handling of unfolding events.
It wasn't a national story. It was a story here in Iowa. I happened to be in Perry the morning when it happened. We saw a bunch of ambulances, helicopters. You knew something was going on. The question was, we're going to cancel our event. We canceled the political event, but we kept the event intact as a prayer session and an open discussion for people in the community.
We canceled the political event, but we kept the event intact as a prayer session and an open discussion for people in the community. Amidst challenges, it is essential to highlight the power of unity and find solace through self-reflection and spiritual contemplation. Prioritizing prayer and fostering community discussions becomes crucial in times of adversity.
It was amazing the number of people who came who otherwise wouldn't have, just because they wanted to speak openly.
Amazing the number of people who came who otherwise wouldn't have just because they wanted to speak openly. Recognize the deep importance of promoting open discussions where the community actively gathers to share diverse thoughts and emotions. Embrace the inherent value found in the freedom of expression and the unrestrained flow of communication.
The short answer to your question is, I don't think one is sufficient. That's just a logistical point. I think we need a minimum of 3 armed security guards in every school across this country.
I don't think one is sufficient. That's just a logistical point. I think we need a minimum of 3 armed security guards in every school across this country. To enhance school security, it is essential to implement practical measures, actively protect students, and take concrete actions to prioritize safety in the face of potential threats.
Some schools that are really large might benefit from 4 or 5. States that lack the funding to do it have a great place to start. Shut down the Department of Education, return the money back to states, and for a tiny fraction of that, you could have 3 to 4 in every school across this country.
In advocating for enhanced school security, Ramaswamy stresses the importance of taking proactive steps to protect both students and staff. His suggestion of deploying multiple armed guards signifies a pragmatic approach to tackling the intricate issue of school safety. The recent tragic event in Perry, Iowa, serves as a stark reminder of the susceptibility of educational institutions, sparking a vital conversation about the need for comprehensive security measures. Acknowledging the emotional distress conveyed by the interrogator post, the school shooting is crucial. Empathy becomes paramount, contemplating the profound impact of this tragedy on both individuals and communities, necessitating a meaningful response. While recognizing the value of practical solutions to fortify school security, one must contemplate the proposal's facets, such as deploying armed guards and safeguarding students and faculty from potential threats. The optimistic note of community cohesion through prayer meetings and open discussions is commendable, urging unity during crises to seek support and understanding. Incorporating Vivek Ramaswamy's perspective sheds light on the limited national attention towards the Perry, Iowa tragedy, prompting an analysis of societal responses or lack thereof to such event. This opens avenues for discussing empathy, collective responsibility, and national consciousness. Striking a balance between logistical aspects of implementing school security measures, ensuring security guarantees, and navigating practical challenges related to funding and resources for schools is paramount. The tension emerges between the proposal to close the Ministry of Education, reallocating budgets for armed guards in favor of enhanced security, and the potential repercussions of resource reallocation.
What do you think?
I promote myself and my videos. Hello, I'm Bong Sim, a Canadian resident of Asian descent. During the day, I work as a professional counselor, and at night, I do Uber food delivery. Instead of speaking in my videos, I prefer to express myself through writing. In today's world, speaking the truth can have serious consequences, both for my professional life and personal well-being. That's why I'm choosing to pen down my thoughts and using a platform to share them on my behalf. Some people find my videos uninteresting, too strict, and they even criticize the appearance of the individuals featured, including their tiredness, Asian, or perceived flaws. I understand these concerns, but I genuinely believe in the purpose behind creating these videos. Unfortunately, recent Canadian legislation has resulted in the censorship of free speech and online content, and although Google hasn't explicitly admitted their involvement, I suspect they play a part in it. Despite my efforts to monetize my content on YouTube, I haven't been able to earn any income from it. I've tried 3 times, and all my attempts were rejected. They turned me down for reasons like lacking creativity, not having a recognizable face, or not having a distinct voice. Nevertheless, I've made several adjustments to my videos, hoping to overcome these challenges. If you share my belief and support what I'm doing, I would genuinely appreciate your backing.